Perfect. Okay, perfect. So today we're here with Alex, one of our clients who's been so amazing to work with. Alex, if you can just introduce yourself a little bit, tell us about who you are, and briefly tell us about your experience about like your business and in the life insurance industry, like where, how long have you been in, and just a little story about your experience in the industry so far.
Yeah, my name is Alex Anzalone. I've been in the industry about a little over a year. I was at a previous company. I came to a new company. I've been running leads, old lead systems, things like that. But over the last couple weeks, months, I've been working with Stefan closely, trying to find a new lead system that would obviously get me to the next step or the next level that I need to help grow my business. But overall, everything has been going very well.
Wow, that's so good to hear. So how long have you been a life insurance agent?
A little bit over a year.
A little bit over a year. Okay, so you started in 2023.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. And then the whole transition happened after a few months, from
Yeah.
transitioning from one IMO to another IMO.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And so what were kind of like the main challenges that you faced before, uh, just before in the business in general, not even with leads, but what were the main challenges that you faced? And then also what were the main challenges that you faced with lead generation before using our services?
I would say the biggest thing with before just in the business is understanding number one, the intent. And like when you never understand like a lead that's an old lead or a new lead, like you can see as you get into the business longer and longer, you can tell someone's intent just by how they pick up the phone.
Yeah.
The biggest struggle was finding people with intent in like a lot of people who had intent. I would notice that you would go by leads and maybe one of out of every 50 leads might be a high intent lead, and then the rest of them they're not interested. So it's you have to convince them or tell them why today and right now is the best time to do this and not wait another 10 years because they've been putting it off. So I feel like finding the intent within people, like, that was the hardest thing to overcome at the very beginning was if no someone's not interested, you have to convince them to be interested in the sense
Yeah.
of like this is important to do it right now and not wait. But the biggest thing that I've noticed as far as like leads, things like that, was I could go buy leads for $3 or I could go buy leads for $25, and I could never get a consistent intent, no matter if I spent $3 or if I spent $25. So the intent, even with the quality, like the price of the leads, like there was nothing that's matched up. When you would go spend more money, the lead intent was still the same. You'd spend less money, the lead intent was still the same. So it never really made sense. But obviously, since working with Stefan, being able to implement systems that he has, I've found the intent. Every time I get on the phone, people know what they're looking for. I talk to them. Sometimes people even call me and say, "Hey, is this the insurance company?" And I'm like, "No, whoa, 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 slow down. Like, I'm just a broker. I'm able to go over it, talk about the companies that we work with, things like that. But like the intent is there now, and it's not one out of every 50, it's one out of every two. Like you're getting intent very consistently, and these people are either calling you or you're outbound calling them. So at the end of the day, it allows your lead systems and structures to change because before I couldn't get inbound calls with people with that high intent. Now
Wow.
it's I either get inbound calls or I'm outbound calling, and it's like I'm working consistently every single day. It's like instead of sitting there trying to get into presentations, I'm now sitting there selling these people, telling them what they're looking for because the intent's there.
Yeah. So instead of always calling and trying to get into a presentation, you're spending more time like actually in sits and closing deals, and your struggles are completely different from what they used to be, basically.
100% did a 180 probably in 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, yeah, wow. So you used to buy leads for up to $25, up to $3, and they would promise higher intent. They would promise it's verified, it's all these things, but you would call and you'd be like, it's like the same thing,
Yeah,
basically.
I could get a lead that was filled out in the morning at 8 a.m. and I'd call them at 8:01 and they don't even remember filling it out. I'm like, well, wait, how do you not remember filling it out? It was like 2 minutes ago.
Yeah,
Most people can remember those things, but now it's like I'll even call people from a month ago with these leads and it's they still have the same intent like they did it yesterday.
yeah, wow. And that's really interesting. So you can even call someone that we generated a lead like a month ago, and they're like, oh, I remember filling that out, when you tell them the verification questions and all that stuff. And it can even be a close for a good amount of AP.
100%. I would even say 3 to 6 months. Like you
Yeah,
find leads with still the same intent that old, and they'll still be like, "Yep, I remember doing that."
yeah. Wow, you really don't find that in industry, man.
Not really at all.
Yeah. Okay. That's really good. And so you mentioned something about like call-in leads. So tell us a little about that. Like what happens when you get call-in leads? So basically we're running the leads for you and you're also getting calls sometimes. So how does that work? Like what do you usually see with the call-in leads? Are they looking for it? What tell us a little about the call-in leads and how often are you getting calls?
I would say the call-in leads are about one in every 15 to 20 that someone's actually calling in. And when they're calling in, it's they just filled out this information, and within 2 minutes, I get a call from them. So they just finished either filling out the form after it got sent over to me, and then now they're calling me. And when they're calling me, it's the highest intent. Like you pick up the phone because they know exactly what they're looking for, whether it be coverage, how much they're willing to spend exactly to cover funeral final arrangements, or just specifically to leave money behind. Like when you get somebody who's inbound calling, those are going to be, from my experience, the highest quality leads because it's get straight to the point.
Yeah. So you out of every 15 to 20 leads, you're getting at least one person to call usually, and they're like ready to get straight into the point. Fresh, filled it out. It's like a live transfer basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%, but it's the cheapest life transfer you can find.
Yeah. Yeah. How much are you generating those for?
I think it's around $7 a lead.
$7. So even the live transfers, whenever they do call, it's like $7.
Yeah, and I've used other live transfer companies before, and it's 65, 85,
Yeah.
105. It's nowhere even near what this would be like, especially even the quality.
Yeah. Yeah, and the timing, the intent. So what if I don't know, did you have any hesitations before getting started with LifeLead Solutions? What was kind of like your process there?
I would say the biggest hesitation is that everyone's trying to do the same thing. So you got
Mhm.
to find one that actually works. And there's going to be that regardless of where you go. The biggest recommendation that I would make is obviously do your research, talk to the people that you're talking to, make sure they're genuine because you'll be able to hear that over the phone with them. But at the same time, if you find a company that works or you have heard from other people that this works and they're in the business, more than likely they're not going to lead you in the wrong direction.
Yeah, they have nothing to gain.
Nothing to gain. If
Yeah.
like this is what I'm doing, these are the systems that I'm using, and they have been working, like they have the results to prove it, then I mean, it's just as simple as trusting them to say, yeah, this is going to be something that works for me.
Yeah. So you were messaging me on Instagram and we were talking
Correct.
on Instagram. And then you didn't feel that confident to go through or to book a call
Yep.
until you asked like someone you're working with how
Correct.
they're getting their leads, how they're making their sales. And they're like, oh, I work with Stepan.
Yep. It was an organic conversation. And then I was like, wait, took the step back. I was like, I need to make sure this is something that's going to be right. And it's not like just another system, another way to get leads. And I just was like, all right, well, I'll take a week. And then I just organically had another conversation and they're like, yeah, I'm using these leads. And I was like, okay, well, I got to better give it a shot now.
Yeah. So you're not just hearing it from us anymore. You're hearing it from other.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that was so cool how that happened. So basically what happened was we were talking on Instagram and then we it just kind of like we just stopped responding to each other. And like maybe like a week or so later, I get a text message, not an Instagram DM, a text message from Alex, and he's like, "Hey, I'm calling from one of our other clients, Caitlin." He's like, Caitlin sent me this and this, and I'm like, "Oh, it's the same Alex that we were talking to over Instagram." So it was really cool how that happened. So what I know there was like other options and other things, and you're probably looking into something like this for a while. You probably had the lead issue for a while. I mean, most people have a lead issue since they first get into the business. They start buying like really cheap leads that have been resold 14 times, or they start buying expensive leads that just don't have the intent and they're not exclusive and you really don't know what you're buying. So most people have that issue for a while. But what was like the I know you spoke to Caitlin, but what was the thing that convinced you to give it a shot? Was it just someone else was succeeding with it, so it's like, hey, might as well?
I would say I've looked into probably a handful of other companies and I've tried out a couple of them where it wasn't like a full uptick in like what systems they're using, but like here's like a batch of 50 that you can buy. And I even found out of those that it was like what they said on the phone call and what I was seeing on there, like when I was dialing and actually working the leads, it like didn't even match up. Like it would be NIS disconnected. People be like, "What are you talking about?" Or the wrong name was on the form. Like I would call for one person, it wouldn't even be that person. So I've tried multiple different systems where it's supposed to be working and it hasn't worked like they said. And then it was just came to the point where I felt like I understood the business and the industry well enough that I knew that I needed to start putting significantly more money or enough money into a system that worked because the skill set was now there that I could sell at a high level. It was finding a system that allowed quality leads always in my inbox so that I could call them.
Yeah. So once you found the quality leads, your business is set.
Yeah, your business will 10x in the next 6 months if you find a lead system that works well.
Yeah. So what was kind of like the first week like working with us, or the first 2 weeks? Like what, from getting onboarded to the first week to the first 2 weeks, what did that kind of look like for you?
First week of onboarding, it was pretty easy, nothing too painful at all. Leads started coming in within 2 to 3 days after I got everything set up. Obviously, with the optimization, things like that that we worked on, they've only gotten better. But within 20 leads I've closed, within the first 20 leads I received, I closed 3 deals off of those. And then out of all the leads I've received, I've closed about 20 deals so far in the past 2 weeks.
Wow. So in the past 2 weeks, 20 deals so far.
Yep. And I would say right around 20K AP.
Yeah. So and how long has it been? Like 3 weeks or so?
Maybe 2.5, 3 weeks.
So in 2.5, 3 weeks, 20K. So it was 1 week. The first week, was it like 10K?
First week, week and a half, it was like 10K. Second week, week and a half, it was about another 10K.
Yeah, I see. And your impression of the leads was different than anything you've ever had.
Oh yeah, the first time I got an inbound call lead or someone thought I was an insurance company, I was like, "Whoa, this is this is the wrong call." I thought, but no, they were looking for it. It was just they thought I was the insurance company.
Yeah. So I know you've only been with us for like 2, 3 weeks, but has your business changed at all since you started? What does, I don't know, what does your business look like now? What does your work schedule look like now? What's your focus now? Like what kind of major changes happened or are in the process of happening?
I would say my days looked different in a lot of ways. I can sit down and know that I can get on the phone and dial and get it closed early enough so that the rest of my day is freed up to help other agents, make sure that my back end of everything is set up and correct, and also allows me to spend time with my friends and family. So like before I would be spending 12, 14 hours on the phone, maybe dialing to like 8, 9 o'clock just to maybe get a deal. But now I can confidently sit down and know that by noon I'll have a deal if I work hard enough.
Wow. So just the predictability is like increasing in your business, where it's like it's not by chance anymore. Like you have everything in place, the systems in place. It's just about working the leads.
Yep. Working the
Yeah.
leads, have the skills to work the leads.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. And then are there any like specific success stories that you can share? Like I know for some people, they really value being able to work, like you said, in the morning, get a deal, get 2 deals, and then start recruiting the rest of the day. Some people really like the fact that they can close and they maybe have like high premiums. What's kind of like the main driving factor for you?
I would say the biggest thing that I wasn't really thinking would happen was I find a lot more his and her policies would
Mhm.
dial these leads. Like a lot more people are looking for not only one policy, but a policy for their spouse as well. So that was the one thing by just setting it up properly at the beginning of the call, you're able to find out that these people are not only looking for themselves, but they're looking for maybe two, three, four, 5 people. So now you're getting on a phone call and it's not just one person for a minimum AP. Maybe it's 5 people that are looking for coverage that are all high intent.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. So a lot of two policies, his and her. So you're
Yep.
getting like two policies in one.
Yeah, so your $7 lead, or right around where I was at, the $7 lead, you can close 2,500 just by having two people on there. So the turnaround and the ROI on everything is insane.
Wow, wow, wow. That's really cool, man. That's so cool. Have you gotten any referrals so far from people like that they referred other people?
So I have had a few referrals. I've also had people where if they weren't able to find something that was affordable for them, and I was like, okay, it sounds like everything's good to go, and like didn't push the sale.
Uh-huh.
I had people call me back and have them look up their wife's policy, their sister's policy, every other person's policy because I was making sure they were put in the best place. So I've had
Wow.
people call me back and say, my sister needs coverage, my uncle needs coverage, my wife needs coverage, or at least can you look at her policy to make sure everything's correct? And if it's not, we want to fix it.
Wow. So that speaks not only about the intent of the lead, but that speaks about you as a salesman, man. You're on the phones, them trusting you enough to call you back after maybe something didn't go through the first time. Hey, can you look at my family's policies? Man, that's amazing. So just having an at bat with these people, having the systems prepared in your agency and everything that you guys teach and you learn, you're able to maintain a lead, even though you didn't close on the first one, they still call you back. Most people have trouble getting a contact after the lead says, "Oh, I'll call you back," or "Oh, yeah, I'll get the bank account later," and they never hear from them again, right? But
Right.
you go through the process, they're like, "I can't afford it," if they can't afford it, or if there's some health condition or something wrong, and they still call you back and tell you, "Hey, can you look over this policy?" Like they still want to work with you.
Yep. It's honestly, if you treat people the way you want to be treated and you're looking out for other people's best interests, it's just going to come back to you. But also in the same sense of the business itself, like when you're writing these policies, you're actually helping these people. Like you're making sure that their family's taken care of. So I look at it as if I'm making sure they're set up in the best position possible, then they're going to want to make sure their family's set up in the best position possible. So even if it's you can't close a deal right off, like right at the first go around, like you never know what the second, third, fourth go around will be because those clients will always call you back because you know you that you put them in the best situation.
Yeah. So that sounds like something that is really really valuable for anyone watching who's struggling with their sales. Maybe they haven't picked up the sales thing yet. But what would you say to someone who's like, let's just say someone's just starting out, they're just let's say they're joining you and your agency. What would you say to them just starting out as a life insurance agent, like someone who's just got licensed and they're trying to grow? Like what process do you usually take people through to ensure their success? And what would you tell someone just starting out?
The biggest thing I would tell someone starting out is you have to be hungry because you never know when the next day is going to hold. It can be like the best day or the worst day, but the next day is still going to happen. So you have
Mhm.
to wake up with the same energy, the same hunger to get after it. But obviously, the biggest thing I would say is if I was a new agent now, I would have gotten these systems put in place a lot sooner,
Mhm.
knowing that the difference it can make in your overall business and the trajectory of your business if you put them these processes and systems in place now or sooner, you'll see the success that you're looking for.
Mhm. So for the lead generation, getting good leads, getting high intent leads, getting a good amount of leads, you'd put that in place sooner than if you knew about it.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. And who would you recommend the lead services to or the leads to? Because a lot of people, um, a lot of people they think that the leads a lot of people they think that the leads are for people who have already been like super established in the industry, and I don't know that they can't do it if they're just starting out. But who would you recommend the leads to or the lead services to in the industry? Like what kind of an agent would you recommend them to? Someone that's looking for something, someone that's had problems with something. Like what would you say?
I would say really there's never too many leads that you can have. So even if something's working now, there's never another wrong step. If you go get another lead system that works, and then you have two lead systems that work. So I would say even if you're a brand new agent, 6 months, 3 months, a year and a half, 2 years, whatever it may be, you can always find more resources to help your business.
Mhm.
If you're always finding new ways to put money into your business, then the machine is going to run well. But once you stop putting money into your business, then the machine's going to stop entirely.
Yeah, wow. So always just look for new avenues that work sustainably, consistently. Yeah, that's really good. And what advice would you give? Because a lot of people that follow us, They might be people that are on the fence. They might be like, oh, I don't know if this works, this is for me, this and this. What would you say to people that are like considering, investing in their business, getting a good lead system, and they haven't taken that step yet? What would you say to agents just considering it?
First thing I would say is get on the phone with Stefan because he knows what he's talking about. He'll walk you through everything. He'll make you feel comfortable. He gives you how the systems work. Make sure that obviously it's not going to break your bank account because obviously you still have to live life. This is your business, but you still have your personal expenses as well. I would say that if you're sitting on the fence or you're thinking about potentially doing a system that the first place to start is a conversation, and then there's stuff to think about. There's nothing to really think about until you've had the first conversation. See if it's an option for you. See if this is something that could fit into your business because it was able to fit in mine. And obviously, if we're in the same industry together, it's only going to help you if you find a system that works.
Yeah, awesome. And then what's kind of next for you, man? Like what are your plans? What do you want people to know? What do you have going on? How can people contact you and those kind of things?
Next things going on, the next 3 to 6 months are going to be crazy. I'm going to implement these systems not only to myself, but my agents as well, making sure that they have leads that are coming in consistently all the time so that they can scale their own business. But from that point, it's going to be making sure that everyone's has something in place so that they can see the next level of growth that they should in their business.
Yeah. And if anyone wants to contact you, what would you tell them and how can they get in touch with you?
You can reach out to me via Instagram. I believe it's Alex Anzalone,
It'll
and
be below.
I'll tag it. Yeah, but you can reach out to me on Instagram, on Snapchat, my phone number as well. He can add that in there.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. So we'll have the Instagram down there. You can DM him, ask him anything you want. And we'll have his phone number down there too. So if you want to get in touch with Alex, he's building an amazing team, and what they're doing is so amazing. I know some of the systems that they're working on. I know the processes and things that are happening. They're really, really big, and they're so exciting, especially for someone who is that just doesn't know where to go in their agency. Maybe they're having trouble with sales, they're having trouble with leads, they're having trouble with their upline, or whatever trouble that you're having. There's systems that are being built for you, and Alex's team and agency is building something so amazing. So I'm excited for what he has coming and what we're gonna do, partnering together. So yeah, thank you so much, Alex, for your time. So happy to have you on here, and just more and more growth for your agency and your business, man.
Thank you for everything. Thank you for all the resources, everything that you've given me, the systems in place, and obviously the time that you take away to have one-on-one conversations. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. All right, blessings.